Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm coming to you with my review of The Knight and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This is about a woman who has lived her whole life that she remembers as a diviner in a cathedral, where basically whenever someone has a question, she or one of her fellow diviners has to drown in a spring and have a vision and answer their question, basically. And it really is a gigantic bummer to have to do, because drowning and feeling sick afterwards and being really tired afterwards is just not fun. And basically she and her fellow diviners were all supposedly, orphans, and when they're brought to be diviners, they lose their memories of any life they had previously, and they keep their eyes hidden even from each other. They don't even look in a mirror when they don't have a shroud over their eyes. The abbess who's in charge of them hides her whole face, basically, and they don't know what their eyes look like, and they don't even go by they don't even know each other's real names. They just go by numbers 1 through 6, and our main character is number 6. And one day the king and his knights show up to have a question answered. And that happens to also be when she and her fellow diviners are getting pretty close to done with their 10 years as diviners. They're seriously starting to think about what they're going to do afterwards. But it's pretty obvious that whatever happens to them, they don't actually end up making it out of the cathedral. That's not a spoiler. It's pretty much given to us right from the start that whatever it is that they think is going to happen is not what happens. Somehow something else happens to them instead, and we don't know what that is. So she realizes that one by one her fellow diviners are just disappearing from their beds, kind of. They're just gone all of a sudden. And the abbess seems very not concerned about this at all. And so our main character is seriously saying, hey, really, like, can I go look for them? I need to do something. And she is the last one remaining, and then the knight, one of the king's knights, who she has already had a couple of really not great encounters with and all of that, where they have some really funny witty banter back and forth, which is really great, but she thinks this guy is just like full of it and just weird, and he has no respect for what she does. Divining wise, he agrees to help her out and figure out, help her get out of there. He fights off a bunch of gargoyles, because there are gargoyles in this, and one of the gargoyles is her friend, but the other ones are evil. And so he helps her get out of the cathedral, and tries to help her figure out what it is that happened to her fellow diviners and where they are. And from there, obviously, romance ensues. It's definitely a really slow burn. It's not like fast or anything like that. It's not like super duper steamy, but it is a really significant part of this book, which is great, because that's exactly what I was looking for. One thing that I do find kind of odd about Rachel Gillig's previous books is that, as good as they are, they keep being marketed as romantasy when there is no romance in them. There is a love interest, but there's no romance. Whereas this, I definitely did suspect that there would be a lot more romance and that it would be a lot more central to the story, and it really is. It's really good. The whole time, that our two main characters really like each other and want to be together, but aren't really thinking about that. So the entire time they have a lot of witty banter back and forth, and just like pick on each other in kind of a playful, like funny type of way, not being condescending, but being like just silly with each other. And overall, our main character also just becomes an absolute badass. She learns how to fight and figure stuff out, and she becomes a knight by the end, and she's just really awesome. And it's basically about, this book is primarily kind of about a woman finding her agency in a world that has tried to keep her ignorant, for purposes unknown. And so I also just thought that this book was really, it did a really good job of keeping stuff from us as we're reading, and I could barely put this down because I wondered what the heck is up with her eyes that she doesn't know what they look like. What is going on with this entire, the entire world, and what what really happens to the diviners, because you know it's not what they say it is at all, and all of that. And it just does such a great job. The only thing that I wanted out of this that I didn't really get was a little bit more world building, because there was not a lot, aside from the fact that we are in a kingdom where there are 6 omens that are basically the gods, and we know that these are like somewhat regular people who became gods. They are like, they are corporeal entities of some kind, and so in that aspect, the world, the world building was pretty good, but we never really know what this looks like in the grand scheme of things. We don't know what the just anything outside of the kingdom is, or even what the kingdom necessarily is comprised of, because it's just not really part of the story. And I would have liked a little bit more detail there, but other than that, this book was so good and I could hardly put it down. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know what your thoughts are if you've read this book, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!